There's a man who contradicts. Wait, he's the type of guy who tell you there's no first place, but he's part of a race. Eyes lie, but take a look inside. They mirror the sights you'll see.
You know, we love reading. In fact, everybody in the room now is a reader. I know that. You wouldn't be as smart as you are if you didn't read so much. And we can gain knowledge of other people and of each other. And this is why it's good to share information, share experiences and so on. But books, because there are some people who can write well, whether it's a tutorial, a technical book, or just fiction, book of fiction. And the beauty of fiction is it allows us to escape, and we create, and it energizes and gets us to utilize our brains to, it's almost like exercise, going to the gym for the brain. Because when you read a book, as in comparison to watching a film, for instance, everything in the film's set up for you. And there's some filmmakers who are fantastic, have a vision, and then the lighting and sound people bring it to life, but it's a direction. If you look at a film by Tarkovsky, for instance, they say anyway, you can freeze any frame and it's a picture. And he's so keen on getting those shots right. Same with Kubrick and other directors that you know of. But in a book, rather than the picture being presented to you in the director's form, it's described to you. And that description can never truly capture sometimes it happens, but it never truly captures the author's intent, because we have our own imagination. So if someone said, as he approached the room, he reached his hand out and turned the brass handle and opened the large oak door, we're all going to have a different picture, maybe slightly different colour of oak, the size of the door, the type of handle it is, even the noise it makes and so on. And that's the beauty of books, that they can take us into another realm with creative writing, but it's still our imagination at the end that creates this final image, and that's it. And not only just about the visual imagery, it's about conveying a message and communication. Because in many books, for instance, I'm an avid reader, but over the last couple of years I've hardly read any fiction. It's all non-fiction, lots of technical books. I'm very technically minded. Everything's technical, I read the manual inside out for this device and for, my mixer and the keyboard. And next thing I know, I'm on to how can I program to make, particles move around and so on. And I'm looking at some hardcore programming books, and I'm very, very technically minded, even about the things that may not seem technical to somebody. You may say, how's a dress made? And I've got to see how the material lays, what is the bias, what's the needle made of, how does a sewing machine work? I'm looking at the technical aspects always. But books convey that to us. So to save me having to sit down and learn for hours physically, manually, I can get a book. And a book will tell me what to do. And there's a wisdom in books, a philosophical musings in books. Sometimes it's direct, if you're going to read a philosophy book, or a really good work of literature. For instance, I talked about recently Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, and the themes that it deals with, which are imparted to you in the writings of another. And it's quite a deep book, bit of a tome, but really deep meaning about us as human beings, and is there such thing really as bad? So I can go on forever. So the point of this was, I posted up on Facebook this morning, what books do you think they should teach at schools? And this prompted me to do this very quick, it's getting longer, show to talk about books, because the list of books that people have been putting up this morning are fantastic. I really like them, and also like the fact that everyone's not really totally Eurocentric and move far afield, even talking about the Bible, the Mahabharata and Confucius, and books outside of what a lot of Europeans don't dare venture into. Hello Barry, hello Karen, Tom, Michael. And so if everyone wants to say anything, Michael, anyone else, just about a book, or the beauty of books and why books are so special. And for me, even the smell of books, because now I read a lot of stuff digitally, almost everything. But, oh my God, I grew up with the smell of books. Maybe it's because it's wood at the end of the day, but it's more about that. I think it was the dust. You go into an old bookshop and there's that smell. They used to have wooden shelves before everything was plastic, and there's a feeling of antiquity in bookshops, which is also part of it. And if anyone's interested, I'm going to tell you a story about a bookshop, a little fantasy of mine as a young man. I used to go to this bookshop, and it was a left-wing bookshop. And when I grew up, I always thought that bookshops were the centre where you'd be elected, or where you go to have secret meetings because against the state or so on. Because I used to watch films, and I think they used to be centres in reality. I've never ever chased this up, but you'd watch an old war film or a film about spies, and the films I saw anyway, and they'd meet in a bookshop and they'd give a secret document over, or there'd be something hidden in the pages in a book, or you'd pull a lever and the bookshelf would turn around and you'd go into a little secret passage. I used to read about it in books too. So I always used to go to this bookshop, and the guy in there always used to treat me well and talk to me. And I swear, I used to think one day they're going to say, "Psst, come out." And then they'll pull the lever and take me down to the little secret area, because I used to get, books that were pretty much, it was a left-wing bookshop in East Ham anyway. And I always thought I'd be invited into some secret circle, but it never happened. Hello, Tracy, long time. And so the beauty of books, that's what I wanted to talk about very briefly, and how they move us, the importance. And I think a lot of us have tried writing a book at some point in our lives, or considered writing a book, and you see how difficult it is for two reasons. One, it's bloody hard. You've got to have a good understanding of writing, whether it's technical or creative writing. And if you do start writing a book, this happens to many people anyway, who I've spoken to, and it happened to me, you start putting yourself into the story, because it's quite hard to talk about external experiences without putting yourself at the centre of the story. And we're quite limited in that ability, unless we're writers, of course.
You not heard of the OBG? Big people talk, man. You need to get involved. You might even catch a blessing.